Welcome back to the show, Disruptors. I'm your host, Aaron Hale, and this is Point of Impact. Man, I am so excited to bring you this show today. My guest, Jason Drees, is a best-selling author and podcast host, both of which entitled Do the Impossible. He's also founder and CEO of Jason Drees Coaching. He is, even in his description, a little bit harder to find as far as what kind of coach he is. Business coach isn't quite sufficient enough. Productivity coach, life coach, maybe, but mindset coach, I think, is most fitted. He helps entrepreneurs and business owners not just find success at what they're aiming for, but make sure he finds the best targets. He helps them do it more quickly, more efficiently, makes it easier through his 3-tier or 3-circle formula, in which if you can find the right mindset, the right frame of mind, and you can find alignment. And once you've got alignment, the world begins to conspire towards your success. We talk about, his transition, what motivated him to go from sales in the corporate world to becoming a Tony Robbins coach. And then branching out on his own, his difficulties and, finding his first coaching contracts and an unfortunate bout with dog food, personal integrity, and a few other things. His philosophies on money and how important that is, both personally and in your business, to make sure you've got the right mindset when it comes to money as well. There is a moment during the interview where I have an equipment failure and have to run out and run right back in. The thing about being blind and deaf is this accessibility software and my cochlear implant. It's a miracle that I'm able to be a podcaster at all. 40, 50 years ago, I would have been pulling the full hell in color. But today, I'm able to bring these shows to you, talk with these incredible guests, and share my own point of view on a few things. Only there's 101 things I can mess up at any given moment. Today, I had one such equipment failure. Please forgive me. We left it in there. We didn't edit it out just because I thought it was kind of funny. And Jason and I had a little laugh about it once I could hear him again. Before we get into the conversation, 2 administrative things I want to mention real quick. One is, at the time of this recording, it's been about 2 weeks since I completed the Badwater 135 Ultra Marathon, becoming the first deaf-blind person to ever do so in history. And I'll be doing another recording, sharing my thoughts, lessons learned, and the experience along the way. I just want to mention that I'll be opening up my calendar for a few speaking engagements in the future. And if you are an event organizer, you want to bring an inspiring and motivating speaker to your next event and show your company, organization, your team that there's a way to face volatility, uncertainty, and adversity with enthusiasm, excitement, and a bit of grit, and come out the other end successful. If you're interested and you want to learn more about booking me for your next event, reach out through the link and we'll have a discovery call. The other thing is, the only way that I can book these level 10 top tier guests is with your help. So a quick request, please let these future guests know that this is a tier 1 podcast. They learn these things. The other thing I want to mention real quick is just a small request. The only other thing is a quick request. The only way I can book these top-tiered, high-caliber guests like Jason Drees is through your help. The way they know they're booking top-tier podcasts is through popularity. The only other thing I want to mention before we move forward is just a quick request. The only way I can book these top-tier guests is if they know this is a top-tier podcast. The only way they know that is through your help. Please share by word of mouth, by sending the link in your favorite social media feeds, or send it in a text with the link in it to your friends. Get the word out about this podcast and let others know. The other way is, give the show 5 stars and leave a quick review. Telling you that little act tells the algorithm so much, and you'll be making a huge impact. And without further ado, my conversation with Jason Drees. Jason, so glad to have you on The Point of Impact. I'm really excited to get into this. Welcome.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm excited to connect today.
First thing I want to do is I want to talk to you about, what it is that you do. You're a coach, but it's not. You're not a business coach specifically. You're not like a marketing coach or a sales coach. You do mindset and productivity. For me, the way I picture it in my head as internally, the old SAT association, you are to this like externally sales and marketing. You are more like a brand manager versus a sales and marketing manager. But tell me more. Tell me about it. Like, what is mindset coaching?
It's really funny that you say that, because I never in a million years would have guessed that I would have become an expert in something that I can't explain to people. I don't know how it happened, but I basically had this journey to really make myself feel better, and led me to Tony Robbins, led me through learning how to change beliefs, led me to my own technologies and tools and processes. So what I actually do is I'm a coach. You can call me a life coach. You can call me a business coach. Because the coaching I do encompasses all of those things. My specialty, now I do business coaching gets in there because I've been in business for, 4 decades or whatever. How many, in fact, 3 decades? I forgot count. But it's mindset. So really I like to refer to myself as a performance coach. Brandon Turner refers to it as upgrading the software in your head, like your operating system, mental operating system. Like Jamie Grubler refers to me as a mental chiropractor, just kind of like a chiropractic adjustment. But I love it. The simplest way to think about it is I help you upgrade the version of you. That's really what it is.
And you touched on it with chiropractor. Like they get your back. You're just putting in alignment, and you talk a lot about alignment.
I do.
Before we get into what that really means, I'd like to turn a question that a lot of your coaching students have a problem with. I'd like to turn it around on you and say, why what is it about you that makes you fit to be? I don't want to be offensive. I really want to get at to the source of what drew you to coaching, to this lifestyle, life coaching, mindset coaching, mental chiropractor work.
Well, that's a good question. Like, why are you coaching? That's 2 different questions, actually. So the first question is, why am I fit to be a coach? And some people ask that question, and I actually had to go through the processing of this when I became a coach. And I'm like, I'm a brand new coach. Somebody hired me. Am I worthy of being a coach? And then I realized that life brings people together. Sometimes we learn things, sometimes we don't. So basically, if you're talking to me at the time, that means life brought us together as an option to work with at time. So I've got experience and tools that helps people, and that's kind of how I align with helping people. What actually got me into coaching was when I started my first business. I've worked in technology sales for about 16 years. And in 2008, I started a company on the side with my engineer, and we made race car driver cooling suits. Where basically it's really hot in a race car. We made this shirt that had camelback bladders on it, and we pumped cold water to keep drivers cool. So that's what I was running my first business in 2008 to 2012. And during that time period, I had already been listening to Tony Robbins, audio products, The Time of Your Life, His Personal Power, things like that. And I hired a Tony Robbins coach to help me run that business and be better at running that business. And in 2012, my coach asked me during a call, he said, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? And when he asked me that question, it was like I got struck by lightning. Like it was like the first time in my life I had meaning and purpose. And that was in the end of 2012. And I became a coach literally 6 months later. And I've been coaching for over 10 years now.
I love that. I mean, it's the same question. I know a lot of business leaders, a lot of people, everybody ask themselves from time to time, why me? What makes me fit for it? It was the same thing I battled with when starting this podcast. What makes me fit to have people come to me in this podcast and really listen? So I understand. And you talk about, in fact, you've written a book, you've got your own podcast, Do the Impossible. And there's another question I wanted to ask you and this is another question that you ask your students, you ask your audience during the Monday mindset calls, which are, as you said, open to everybody. What does impossible mean to you? What is that? How can you do what's impossible?
Well, that's a good question. And the title of Doing the Impossible actually came out of during writing the book. It just popped out of nowhere. And what I really believe doing the impossible is it's living life at your full potential and not holding back. Because the way our brains work, our brains are wired to keep us alive, right? They're not wired they're not wired to make you financially rich, right? They're designed to make you not die, right? Because your brain is cataloging everything that goes into it for every moment you've been alive. So every step you take forward, your brain is literally a computer comparing your next step to every step you took prior to this. And that's why I've found that most people are only playing at a potential of their full capacity in what they do next. It's almost like driving a car and staring in the rearview mirrors while you're driving, right? So what I do, I rip the mirrors off. And what I mean by doing the impossible is that you do not hold back. You play at your full potential. You go after what you don't think is possible, whatever. Like you're not afraid to try. You give it your all, because along the way, I've found that there's nothing more satisfying in life than giving it your all.
101 ways to screw something up.
Well, apparently life really needed you to hear my next point.
So please pick up where you left off. We'll edit the best we can, and
yeah,
who knows? Maybe we'll just leave it in there because it's funny.
Let me jump right in. Let me finish that. Okay, so I found that nothing is more satisfying in life than giving it my all, that giving it everything I can. And that's why I've literally become like addicted. Not addicted, but I love doing challenging things. So really what the impossible really is, it's just an uncommon target that most people don't aim at.
This is one of my most favorite topics because before we got started, I mentioned that I'd done something pretty special over 4th of July. I became the first blind, deaf person to complete the Badwater 135. And wow. I guess you've heard of it.
Yes. I read Dean Karnazes' book, two of his books.
Yeah. So, and what it was impossible at first for me to even consider. I've never heard of it first. A long time ago, 8 years ago, I'd just gotten started running, and it was actually a byproduct of staying fit for other adventures like mountain climbing. But as I got into the love of running, it was the challenge that I fell in love with and accomplished it. And then I heard about Badwater, and it still, even knowing that it was there, made it even more impossible because it was beyond my abilities. But there's another example that I'll tie in is about alignment, and not just my belief, my mindset, and my actions, but the world, the fates, people around me actually aligned to my goals and this accomplishment. So that brings me to that alignment piece, and this is a huge part of your coaching, the the book, your podcast is getting in alignment. What does that mean?
Alignment is, from the point of view of work and success, alignment basically means, and most of the time I'm talking to people about doing things they haven't before. How do they hit goals? How do they hit targets? And what it really means is that there is zero doubt in what you're doing. There's zero resistance to what you're doing. There's complete alignment. And because as human beings, there are times where we're in this state of flow where just magic happens. We make connections, we get opportunities, we get friends, we just boom, 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 boom. And then there's the contrary where we're in resistance and we're grinding and nothing works, right? I'm sure you have too, had times where you grinded for a year and nothing worked, right? I've had those too. And I've figured out that we have the ability to choose which way we operate. And I was conditioned, I'm guessing you are too, that we're taught that hard work creates success, but hard work doesn't create success, right? Because you can work hard and not be successful. Alignment with success creates success. Hard work increases your chances of getting into alignment with success. And it's almost like when you get in your car or you go to a destination, do you just get in the car and start driving, or do you figure out where you're going before you start, right? So that's what alignment is. And most people, when they're in business or working on goals, they just jump in and start driving and they're trying to figure it out on the way, or they have doubt about it, which is an indicator of misalignment with the process.
Well, it's the difference between, not just being aligned, but taking the actions. So you could take the stairs and you believe that you can take one stair at a time. But then why take the stairs when there's an escalator right next to it? And why take the escalator when you can take the elevator? And once you're in alignment and you see that picture, this is something I really love when you use the examples where you just you change not just the mindset or the belief, but you broaden the picture for others. Why not multiply that by 10? Why not multiply it by 100 or 1,000?
Yeah.
And what is it about people is that part of that Neanderthal brain that keeps just trying to keep us alive, not die, that keeps us from thinking bigger?
Well, usually, yeah. And it's everybody. If we sat down and dived into a person's thought process, there was a point in time in the past that caused them to play smaller. It could have been they struck out in high school swinging for a home run at the game. They were dumped. They had a divorce, and most people right now are just so busy doing the best they can that they don't realize that they're playing at less than their full potential. That's what I say.
And it was part of the mindset shift for me was, I'm believing that I could run a full marathon when I never done it before, to being able to run, bad water. But then beyond that, it was the preparation and the belief that not only could I do it, but I'd already done it when I showed up to the starting line. I in fact, when we talk about this alignment and framing, the whole world seemed to align, like the stars and the moon and everything aligned perfectly. I had a team come to me, a crew that was bar none the best team out there. And, the weather, while I was hot, it was perfect for me since I'd been training in my Florida, my humid, steamy, sauna of a garage on the treadmill for months. So when I got out to that dry heat, it almost seemed like child's play. And I'm not diminishing the extent of the race at all, but I believed I'd already done it, and all I had to do was go. It was like Michelangelo and chipping away at the stone that was David. All I had to do was take away what wasn't, my completion. So, but can you explain a little bit more about that? That I think you mentioned before. It was like a 3 concentric rings of action.
Yeah.
Action, mindset, and framing.
Yeah. And what I will say is when you just explained to me, when you got to the start of the Badwater race, you knew without a doubt that you were going to finish that race. That's what I heard you say, right? You said you stepped over the line. You're like, it's already done. I'm just going to do it now.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it 100,000 times already over miles, training with my partner, training with my guides, running through it in my head. All I had to do was complete the steps or chip away at the race to get to that completion.
Yes, and what I will say about alignment is that what you just said indicated that there was no doubt in your mind. It did not exist. There was 100% certainty that this outcome is going to happen. This specific outcome was go run 100 miles through Death Valley in the heat and not die at the same time. That's exactly what you did. It's the same example of what alignment is. So to describe a little bit about the 3 concentric rings is really a new understanding I've found about how life works. I used to always think that action creates reality. So I would work hard and work hard and work hard. And then one time I worked and nothing happened. And I literally, this was 2019, and I had worked 6 months on a new coaching business and didn't close one coaching contract. Couldn't understand why. And I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to be a coach. And I hung up my hat. I cried. I'm like, the business is over. I'll go get a job. And then in the next month, all of a sudden, contracts started coming in, and my head exploded. And that's when I started to really understand that alignment with success creates success, not hard work. And when I started to dig a little bit deeper, I actually started to understand an entirely new coaching methodology, which I call alignment coaching. So to give you an example, we think about it as like your hands. Our hands take actions, and your mind controls your hands. My mind controls my hands. So whatever our mind knows how to do, our hands can do, right? And then what controls our mind will you do, right? So there's 3 circles there. You can also look and imagine it like there's action, and then there's action, a tiny circle that says action, and then a circle around it that says mindset, and then a bigger circle around both of them that says frame. And basically what I've discovered is that if to hit the result, you need to take the right action. To take the right action, it needs to come from a mindset that's in alignment with the target. If the mindset's in alignment with the target, it'll give you the right action. It'll tell you your hands what to do. If your mindset is not in alignment with the target, it will not tell you the right action, okay? And when I grew up in coaching, listened to Tony Robbins' content, a lot of the work he does is around mindset based. And that's why his type of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming content will have a lot of repetition tricks and things like that to try to condition the mind, because those tools were actually created in the 80s, which is basically changing the mindset from the level of the mindset. What I've discovered over the past 8 years is that there's a much easier way, is that if we go to the layer above mindset, the bigger circle, which I call frame, and I believe frame is the vibratory frequency of your consciousness. Because we all know this reality we live in is made of atoms, and atoms aren't solid. So we know it's pure energy. So what I've discovered is that the frame, or you, creates your mindset, and the mindset creates your action. For example, if you're in a happy frame, you'll have a happy mindset and happy actions. If you're in a sad frame, you'll have a sad mindset and sad actions. If you're in a winning, successful selling mindset, you'll get more deals, right? If you're in a slump, you don't, right? So because we live in an attraction-based universe, and life is responding to us. And while I grew up believing action creates reality, I've actually discovered that it's backwards, and that reality creates your action. And as I've started to figure out how to coach people at this level, my client and my own results have started to explode. Because, for example, when I was doing results-based coaching as a Tony Robbins coach, for example, I could talk to a client who is a real estate investor, and I would say, real estate investor, how are you going to grow your business? You want to grow it? And they say, I need to find some deals. I'm like, okay, go find some deals. And they say, well, I need to cold call. And I'll say, go cold call. And they say, I don't like cold calling. And then I would say, well, what kind of man are you going to be? What's your son going to think? What kind of role model? So we would use this negative leverage to force action, right? Because clearly the person who, that example of the real estate investor, they were currently in a frame of misalignment with the target, and that's why they were feeling resistance to the target. And so basically, if you're feeling resistance to the target, you're feeling doubt or negative emotions, you're literally out of alignment, and any action you take is pointless because the action will never work until the frame is in alignment. So what ends up happening is people are out of alignment at the frame level and the mindset level, so they start looking to mentors and try to copy their strategies, and it doesn't work. So where alignment-based coaching gets the mindset into alignment, okay, I am going to find deals. How are you going to do that? Because I'm not going to stop until I do. Okay. Sounds really simple, but it is an aligned frame. That then creates an aligned mindset, which then creates an aligned action. So the strategy piece of the equation, what we obsess over as human beings, how would I do? What do I do? What do I do? We obsess over the strategy. The strategy is actually the byproduct of alignment because
that. So
it's automatic. When you're in alignment, strategy is automatic.
That's it makes things seem a whole lot easier. In fact, it does. I mean, in fact, every day I try to maintain that appreciation, abundance, gratitude, mindset, and state of mind, of framing, where things just come a lot easier because the way I picture the paradigm in which I place my world. And it's true for, people who are trying to quit smoking or something like that. Instead of saying I'm trying to quit, you say I'm not a smoker. But when it comes to just telling yourself that I am, I'm the leader of a huge real estate portfolio. I just got to go out and get on. I'm an ultra runner. I just got to go out and do the actions and that come with being an ultra runner. Did you touch on something? You mentioned something I wanted to expand on just a little bit a moment ago when you said when you were just getting started with coaching and you were having trouble. In fact, I think I've heard you tell the story before, and your wife was pregnant or just had a baby, and you were starting this coaching endeavor, and you couldn't get clients, and then you said one day you just started getting clients. What did you do differently? What changed? How did you change your frame and your mindset, your actions? How did you get in alignment there?
Well, when the financial struggle was actually around 2013, and that was the beginning days of coaching, when it was basically we were struggling financially, and I'm chasing my dream and struggling with small kids, and so that was a lot of work. That's how I learned to build my confidence, was trying to become a coach, successful coach, and I got small kids and I can't pay the bills. That's when I started out, and it gave me a lot of practice because holding a mindset of certainty when you're coaching, when you're broke and struggling at home, is hard to do, really hard. So I had to own my shit, right? and the alignment piece, when that breakthrough happened in the middle of 2019, I was kind of confused at first. I'm like, I've been trying really hard, working really hard, and nothing comes in, and I stop, it comes in. And then I read this book. It was kind of a progression over about a year and a half when I really started to figure out that it was alignment was the key. Because what happened is Jason Drees coaching in 2019 was just Jason Drees coaching. Jason Drees coaching was just Jason Drees, just me. And I had this client named Brandon Turner who I'd been coaching for about 2 years, and I didn't actually even know who he was. I just was coaching this guy. And then he had mentioned, and I realized he has a lot of Instagram followers, and I was like, it'd probably be good to work with him, but I don't want to ask because he's my paying client. And we would have these calls where he's like, we should do an Instagram live. And I'd be like, okay, let's do an Instagram live. And he never followed through. And we probably had 3 of these calls over like 8 or 9 months. So I finally just realized, okay, that's just not going to happen. And then in early November 2019, I had this idea that the reason we weren't working together was because I wasn't at a high enough financial mindset to align with him. And I read this book called Being You, Changing the World by Dane Heer. And in it, he had a belief change process around money and some belief changes. And he had another book called Money Isn't the Problem, It's You Are. And I did these exercises every day for like 3 weeks, these financial belief change exercises. And then we have a coaching call the third week of November. And then he's like, let's do the Instagram Live. The next day he calls me back, let's do it. We do an Instagram Live like 2 weeks later. And all of a sudden I blow up and I got like 5 clients a month for the next 8 months. Then all of a sudden the business just exploded. I basically went from 100,000 in revenue the next year to $1 million the next, so 10x. And it was from understanding that my limiting beliefs were not in alignment with where I was going. And it was that process where I started to discover that alignment was the key to success. So it was kind of a progression over time.
It's almost like what was the chicken or the egg? You developed this alignment, and then you had to start believing in the theory of the framing, or you discovered it and then developed the book and the coaching and the podcast around that.
Yeah, and there were pieces along the way, and a lot of times most of the content that I teach in my methodologies came from one-on-one coaching sessions.
What do you see so frequently in your coaching? What do you see happening most often with your coaching clients? From what I understand, and what I've heard of so many people, maybe it's from listening to your podcast with your clients that you've recorded. We tend to not even picture that larger frame.
Yeah,
it doesn't occur to us.
No.
Or because we're not in alignment, we let ourselves off the hook. There's this personal, integrity thing. If we let ourselves off the hook pretty easily, and you're not a big fan of accountability. So can you expand on that?
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of accountability coaching. And the reason, now there are times when you use accountability. Now, I'm not a big fan of being an accountability coach because accountability lies within the person, right? I've actually got a kind of an interesting story that you can Google Jason Drees and dog food, and you'll see me eating dog food on YouTube, which was part of my accountability story of stepping into personal ownership. But the primary reason I don't do accountability coaching is because you only need accountability when you're out of alignment, because accountability means you need help doing something you don't want to do. And if you don't want to do that, and if you have resistance to doing something and it's something you want to do, that means your mindset is not in alignment with doing it. So forcing it is not going to give you the results you want. It can, but it's a very difficult way to live.
Okay, hold on a second. I mean, I understand all of that, but you had me and dog food. You got to tell me more about this.
Do you want to hear the dog food story? Okay, the dog food story. So in 2013, I was invited to join Tony Robbins' coach training program. I had an 18-month-old son. My wife was 9 months pregnant with my son, Magnus, my second son. She closed her preschool business, her small business in San Francisco, Mill Valley, California. We moved to Rockland, California, near Sacramento. We did that so she could stay home with the kids because the cost of living is about half out there than it was in the Bay Area. We moved there. I'm excited. I get the call. You're in the Tony Robbins coach training program. Had a full-time job. I get there the next day. I get laid off from my full-time job. And I was like, can you lay me off next month after the baby comes? And the female HR manager says to me, can she have the baby early? I was like, what? Anyway. So basically, I have this dream job and we're broke because I had been an entrepreneur in that other company for like 3 years. So we didn't have much savings. And we're struggling, getting along. Why I started coaching my business and some other things. And then 2014 rolls around. I'm working for Tony Robbins and as a coach on the team. There was about 120 coaches on the team. This was Q1 2014. And I'm having a conversation with another coach on the team who was a peer of mine. And he said, and I was struggling financially. And he said, well, go get some contracts this week. And I said, I'd love some contracts this week. He said, what would you want? I'd like $2,500 to pay rent. He said, okay, go get it. And I said, all right, I'm going to get $2,500 this week. He said, okay, go post on the Tony Robbins Coaches Facebook page, the internal coaching team page, that you're going to get $2,500 this week. And if you don't, you're going to eat a can of dog food. And it was like Monday. And when he said that, I was like, okay. Well, he was like, when he said go make the 2,500, I said yes. And then when he said put it on the Facebook group that you're going to eat dog food if you don't, I froze. I was like, "Ah." and then he's like, okay. And he's a good coach, and he knew my son Dash was 3. Actually, he was 3 at that time. And he said, okay, how would you feel if 10 years from now, Dash is hanging out with his buddies in junior high, and his friends asked him, hey Dash, why do you live with your grandma? And Dash says to his friends, we live with a grandma because my dad wasn't willing to eat dog food to create financial independence with us. And I was like, this gut punch, just boom. So I said yes. And I was like, and the words wouldn't come out. So I said, yes, I'm going to do it. So I'm like, okay. And Monday goes by, Tuesday goes by, Wednesday goes by. All of a sudden I have 2 leads in the Chamber of Commerce for coaching contracts. And over the course of the week, my stomach is twisting in knots because I really pride myself on doing what I say and saying it to that pub. And I was trying to make a name for myself so I could get clients faster. And I basically said that to the entire Tony Robbins coaching leadership. They saw that post too. So Friday comes around. I get 2 contracts worth $2,500. It was more, I think it was $3,000. And both of the clients said, can I pay you Monday? And I said, yes, you can pay me Monday. I was not going to screw it up. So I failed the challenge. So I got the money, I failed the challenge. So I go into my office and I walk in there, and it's something switched in that moment. Went from a thing of, oh my God, I have to do this, and to, I am going to do this. And basically a switch flip that said, I'm going to do something disgusting because I made a decision to, and I said so. And it wasn't the nice looking one. It was generic liver flavor out of the can. And what I didn't know is there's chunks of bone is in it. So it's hard to eat. You got to try to swallow it. I got about 3/4 of the can down before it started to come back up. So I stopped. The video is still on YouTube. And what happened was that the part of me who said it's okay to set a target and not follow through died that week. And fast forward, first week of July, 2014, out of 120 coaches on the team, I'd been on the team less than 12 months. I was the number 1 coach on the team for the top performance metric of the entire team. Number of your contracts did they renew? Contract renewals, that's the highest one for coaching. 100% of my clients renewed in that 6-month period. So that's the dog food story. And that's really about doing what you say you're going to do.
First thought, why didn't you just change the label on let's say a can of corned beef hash or something? It's like the same thing, except your hormones. But that's the personal integrity piece, and it's the same thing as saying I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. to work out before the kids get up.
Yep.
But then you just slam that snooze button. It's the personal integrity. You're moving from what's comfortable to uncomfortable because you're that kind of person that knows it's worth it. And I think that's where a lot of us, myself included, we let ourselves off the hook all the time for little things. But how we do the little things is how we do the big things. So you have the book, you've got the podcast, you do the coaching. Tell me a little bit more about the Monday mindset.
Monday Mindset Reset.
Webinars?
Yeah, the Monday Mindset Reset. I do a call every Monday at 10 a.m. Central. It's a 20-minute call, and that's open to everybody to join. It's a free call, and the goal of that call is to get you in alignment every single week. So if you want to start to get a taste and an experience of what alignment is and performance coaching, you can join that call by going to MondayMindsetReset.com.
Who's best suited for your coaching, for your Monday Mindset Reset, and who do you look for to coach and to assist?
Well, that's a good question. Right now, the coaching we do actually applies to any subject because it's mindset and working past your beliefs about success and performance and those sorts of things and upgrading. Our clients are traditionally 90% are entrepreneurs, and there are there's like 4 phases of entrepreneurs. Like the first phase of an entrepreneur, first milestone is making your first dollar. The second milestone is replacing your income. The third milestone is replacing yourself, and the fourth milestone is duplicating it in other businesses. And probably 80 to 90% of our clients are entrepreneurs. Of those, 80% are real estate investors. And most of our clients are in the trying to replace their income or replacing themselves. like step 2 and 3. That's where most of them are.
Do you believe the real estate piece is because you have an affinity for it, or do you believe that these real estate, or somebody's found a secret with the real estate investing?
Well, the whole real estate thing, that market started from my relationship with Brandon Turner, and real estate investors is a great audience for coaching because they're willing to invest in themselves and they're willing to grow. And anybody who's willing to become an entrepreneur is somebody who will benefit from becoming a coach, from getting a coach.
You do focus quite a bit on the financial piece. One is that personal and business financial literacy, financial responsibility is so important to you or to everybody, so to speak. I apologize, this is a 2-part question, but you do have a few the policies that are kind of divergent from the everyday mindset when it comes to financial freedom or financial responsibility. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I'm not actually the most financially literate mechanically and tactically, and I'm not a financial guy. What I am, my specialty is really the financial mindset piece, right? Because you cannot out earn your financial mindset. And I've had multiple experiences in my life where I've self-sabotaged because of my financial mindset. Most of those stories are actually in my book, because you are going to earn where your comfort zone is. And if a person's financial mindset doesn't expand, the actions will not work. And that's why you see most people making the same amount of money year after year after year.
It's similar to the other type of mindset and framing. I think you must have said, don't save. What did you mean by that?
Well, when I said don't save money on that pod, I've said don't ever save money. And the reason I say don't ever save money is because for most people saving money, the idea of saving money is coming from the point of view or from a frame where money is going to run out. So the mere act of saving money is a scarcity-based activity. Now, if the end result you're after is to have more cash in your bank account, well, that's nothing wrong with that at all. But there's a big difference energetically to saving money for a rainy day versus putting money in your savings account because you like to watch it grow.
So same activity, different mindset.
Different. It's an entirely different frequency, right? Because that entirely different frame dictates the opportunities you see. It dictates the connections you have. It dictates whether you go get a taco or a pizza for lunch. And the taco joint's going to give you nothing, but the pizza place is going to give you a new connection that's going to start an entirely new opportunity. Because money and success and growth usually comes with working with different people than you were working with before. And if we are in a scarcity mindset, like I was prior to working with Brandon Turner, you cannot work with people at a higher level than you unless you align with them.
I really love those pizzas. That's why I run so much. But that's a different subject altogether. Do you have any other, we're talking about the financial piece, do you have any other mindset, philosophies that are different, such as the don't save money?
Well, I think it's the money always starts in money is, most people don't realize they try to make money, but money only comes from other people. It's the only place you get money. So if you want more money, you need to get other people to give you more money. So most people struggle with how to make money. How do I make money? I want to make money. How do I make more money? And learning, and the way you make more money is actually rather simple. The way to make more money is to go learn how to make more money. We learn stuff all the time. We learn new phones, new apps, new computers, stuff like that. But for some reason, when it comes to money, people act stupid. We just kind of, I can't. Learn how. That's my suggestion.
And it comes back to that mindset shift. How much do you get each month right now? What would it look like if you added a zero to your income?
Yeah.
What would you be doing? And what would it look like if you added another zero? How do you get there? There are a lot of things that I've learned since in the short time that I've actually been paying attention to you and your podcast and your coaching. So I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me today. And is there anything else before I let you go that I should have asked that I haven't yet?
No, I can't think of anything else.
Then I'm done with my job. Yeah. I really do. Like I said, appreciate it. It was a real pleasure getting to talk to you finally. I've been listening to you for quite a while. And I wish you all the best. And I will share all the links for your coaching, for the one-day mindset reset. Is there anything else you would like me to share in the show notes?
Yeah, check out the book. Do the Impossible. It's on Amazon or Audible if you want the audiobook.
You got it. All right, Jason. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Aaron. It was great to connect today.